What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Twat Talk. I'm your host, Roscoe M, and today I've got an absolutely amazing guest on the show. And finally, with a guest on the show, I can speak with my normal accent. We have Paddy Plays. What's going up, man?
I'm good, man. But when is this awesome guest coming on? I'll leave when they show up. Okay, no worries, man.
Yeah, I had someone else booked to you.
Thanks so much, Roscoe, for reaching out to me to come on and chat. I was delighted.
No problem. I always love having new people on. It's great. I love having a variety of people on. Like, as people know who listen to the podcast, I've had Casey on a few times.
Yeah, I've checked out the Casey episodes because that's kind of how I met you, was through that whole community.
Yeah, through Casey.
And so I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'll check this out. And I really loved it. I think it was like the Final Fantasy VII Remake discussion. And I was like, this was good crack.
Yeah, it's just a good laugh. I always like to, and when I bring people on, I don't like it to be an interview per se, where it's I ask a question, you give me an answer, fire back, that's it. No, there's an answer with a discussion. And that's what I like.
I'm very similar myself, man. I always say that, like, it should be a conversation, not an interview.
Exactly, yes. It should always be an answer with a discussion. It should never just be an answer and that's it.
Well, like, we're both Celts, and if we're known for anything, it's the fact that, like, you give us something to talk about and we'll run a mile.
We're just absolutely sprinting with that. Honestly, I have been known to chat quite a fair bit on these episodes. I mean,
as we'd say here in Ireland, you must have kissed the Blarney Stone, got the gift of the gab.
Oh Christ! So yeah, so I guess I've been preparing a few questions in my head as I was watching some of your videos earlier today. I've been preparing some stuff, but the first one I want to ask is, where did the name come from? Because everything is Let's Survive Paddy Plays. So where did that come from? Is that like
first of all, everyone that wants to like raid me or anything on Twitch is like, dude. Also, can I swear on this?
Oh yeah. Don't worry about it.
Everyone on Twitch is like, dude, why do you have such a fucking long name? And there's two S's right beside each other. It's so hard to spell. Yeah. Jesus Christ. And the answer is quite simple. When I was wanted to get set up, I was like, do you know what's a great name for like a survival horror focused YouTube channel? Let's Survive. And then I was like, there's like 4 bazillion Let's Survives out there. I was like, okay. I was like, well, Paddy Plays. I bet there won't be any Paddy Plays out there. Yeah, Paddy Plays was taken. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just smash them together.
Just throw them together. I'll do.
It's like the Let's Survive. I mean, the Paddy Plays is self-explanation, I guess. Mm-hmm. I play shit generally. I try to. But the Let's Survive came from the fact that, like, I started this channel at the start of the pandemic. And it was kind of a mixed meaning of like survival horror games and like, let's all just try and get through this, guys.
Let's just try and get through this, Jesus. I feel that. Yeah, that's a really interesting way, because I always come across so many people have so many different ways that they come up with names. Like, I know with Casey's, it's just her name and then like a nickname that her dad gave her as a child, which is great. I love that. And then I had another guest on. His came from a character he played in D&D.
Oh, nice.
And so it's always a different story, and that's why I love having people on different stories all the time.
If I was to go with a character name from like stuff, I didn't really play much D&D, but I played a lot of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and it would probably my character name in that would not be a good channel name, because it's Forenza Moultrie.
God, imagine somebody trying to give you that shout out on a stream.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think we're actually better off. My brother keeps asking me, he's like, why didn't you just call yourself LSPP? I was like, damn it, that's a really good. Why didn't I?
Why didn't I think of that? And then just tell people what it means later.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
rebrand.
Like it.
Coming soon.
Rebrand. God, I can't even count how many of those I've done. Because I started off and it was just my name, and then I went through about 2 or 3 more names before I landed on the one I'm on now.
I love like Roscoe. Like everyone goes Roscoe, and it's just it's nice and simple. Even just there, right before we came on to chat, I was hanging out with another kind of friend of ours from streaming, Sweetheart Ali. I was like, I'm hopping off to go chat to Roscoe, and she was like, "Oh my god, it's so much fun with Roscoe."
Yeah, that's who I'm trying to get on as well. I'm trying to get Ali on, but of course, time zones are a pain in the ass. So
time zones? Can we not just have one global time zone? I know it doesn't work, right?
Can the world just operate on like one continuous time?
And it's like, it's 6 a.m. in the morning, and if you're in like Nebraska, it's like the middle of the day.
Yeah. Oh
cool
god. You know, yeah. That all we need to do is just reinvent the universe. I'm sure it'll be easy enough.
Get that gauntlet that Thanos said. That's what we do.
Let's just break all the laws of physics. It shouldn't be that difficult. Oh god, yes. I've never been this giggly on a podcast before.
That's good to hear. Giggles are good. Get the giggles out.
Oh god, I don't think I've ever laughed this hard in an episode of the podcast yet. Maybe like in the middle of it, but never at the beginning.
Oh man, well, I just, it's funny because that actually kind of leads me to something to talk about, which is that like everyone kind of says you're a very positive, you're a very upbeat guy and all this, and I am. But it's funny because a lot of the reason that I started the stuff as well was because I struggle with like really bad like mental health problems, like ups and downs. Like I guess everyone does, like, you know. But that was another thing. And it's funny because like I'm like, yeah, but you only see the me that you see on here. Like you don't see the one that's miserable.
Yes, that is something that I try to get across to people all the time, because people say, you're so confident and outgoing like on camera. It's like, yeah, that's because that's what I want you to see.
Exactly.
It's like, you don't want to sit there and watch some little anxious, nervous wreck talk to himself for a couple hours while playing a game. No, you want a confident persona that's like, yes, I will interact with chat. I will do all this.
Exactly, and that's what it is. We put on a mask and we act that way.
I think it's interesting.
It's not even, you're not faking it. You are acting like you.
Yes.
But it's just a case of, it's like the you that you kind of want to be or wish you were.
That's what a lot of people mix up. They go, oh, so you're being fake. It's like, no, it's not fake. It's my personality. That is me.
Yeah.
But it's slightly amplified.
Yeah, exaggerated.
So, exaggerate. It's like a character, essentially, that I slip into. And it's very good as well for me separating like this life and my real life. That I have Ross in his real life, you know, this little anxious wreck who can't talk to anyone.
Yes.
And then I slip into Roscoe for streaming and recording, and I'm this loud, confident person who will argue with anyone about anything.
That's brilliant. Like I found that with so a long time ago, I was a game dev back in like 2009, 2012.
Yeah, I heard you talk about that in a few of the videos that you used to be a game dev. I'm like, how many talents has this guy done? Game dev, filmmaker, streamer, YouTuber. How many different things can this guy do?
I have this big secret. I'm just not very good at any of them.
Jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Yeah, but I was really lucky that at that time I got to chat to like one of my favorite creatives, who was Cliff Blazensky, who did the Gears of War games.
Yes,
and he got like a lot of hate online because he was kind of like, he's kind of brash dude, like, and we were talking, and I was like, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with all the hate? Like, and he was like, because it's not me. He was like, that's Cliffy B.
Yeah,
that's a persona that the game world sees. He's like, when I see people hating on Cliffy B, I'm like, oh, it sucks for that dude. At least I'm Cliff Blazensky. And that really shaped my thinking on even going into filmmaking, being prepared for the criticism, being prepared for people not liking your stuff and being quite vocal about it. You know?
I've been fortunate enough that most of the people that have come across my stuff have been quite positive. And even if they didn't enjoy it, they left constructive comments.
Yeah.
Apart from one video that is now one of my most popular, right? And it's literally called what's it called? It's like My Elite Dangerous Experience, I think. Let me try find it. I can't remember. I think it's to do with Elite Dangerous though, right? Which, might I say, that community is very, very dedicated to their game.
Yes.
Like, I would say to a fault. Okay, it's called The Elite Dangerous Experience and Why I Hate It. Right? So
To the
very,
point.
yeah, very. All of my titles are very to the point. People find that out very quick. I describe exactly what's in the video, unless it's like for an obvious joke, which is also in the title. I think I did a video once where it's like the most epic golden gun moments, hashtag clickbait. Because I made a joke in the video being like, oh, I should totally make that my next video. The moment's not even that good.
Like, it's funny because, yeah, since I came online, I haven't, like, doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Most people have been very supportive. And like you say, like, very, like, you might get a little bit of critique or, you know, but like nothing like.
Yes.
Whereas, as I say, when you put like, it's hard because when you put 3 years of work and like all of your money into a movie and then a guy on Letterboxd is just like, biggest pile of crap I ever watched, wish I could get my money back. You're like, and like, I get it. I do to some extent because like, but it's still hard. It's not, as I say, because I have learned to distance myself from like, hey, the movie's not me. We're not the same thing. But I suppose at the start I struggled with that. I was like, they hate me. And I was like, they don't hate you. They hate your film, which is fine because we can't make something that pleases everybody. You know?
You never can. You can never please like the whole crowd.
No.
It's frankly impossible. Also, I think with all that positivity and things you're talking about, I think it's the circles that we found ourselves in. We found ourselves in very positive communities, and obviously those communities spill over into your community.
It's true, yeah, and that's my one thing that Ali said to me that I think is such a really good statement, and it really is the best metaphor I've heard for what I've experienced at Twitch, is that Twitch is a big tree, and we're all our communities are different branches coming off that same great tree.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's so actually incredible. Like, Ali's a bit of a genius when she wants to be, man. She comes out with stuff and you're just like, that is a golden nugget of wisdom right there.
Yeah. God, yeah. I'm surprised there's not like a little mini series for that. Ali's golden nuggets of wisdom.
There's content for her YouTube channel. Awesome. We'll pass that off to her after this.
Yeah, pass that on to Ali, please.
No, you're right. I mean, that's one thing I like about Twitch is that it encourages you to find the people that you want to surround yourself with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of have a choice in it. Whereas I suppose when you're putting content out there, like films or music or other stuff, you're not necessarily like you can't control where it goes and who sees it.
Yeah.
And you can't on Twitch either, but you have some control because if it's like someone toxic and horrible comes into your stream, you can block them or ban them. You know what I mean? You have
I feel like also with Twitch, if, for example, if your community is so overly positive, these people don't tend to stick around too long because they just get phased out by every other member of your community that is so nice.
It's true. And one of my favorite experiences of 2021 so far is there was a guy that he comes on my Twitch streams and he hangs around a couple of my other friends' streams as well. And we used to always consider him a little bit of a troll and that he used to just come in and it seemed like he just wanted to antagonize people. But we all kind of chatted to him, myself and a couple of other streamer friends, and we got him to kind of change his ways. And now he's like the most positive, upbeat guy you'd ever meet. Big shout out to Renabot. Renabot, you're awesome. Keep the positivity up. Don't go back to your trollish ways.
Yeah, oh God, I've changed so much over the years.
Yeah.
I used to, I'll be honest, I used to be a total arsehole. Like, I used to be such an arse. Right? This is more in real life. I didn't really do it online.
Yeah.
But I used to be such an arse and then thought to myself, what am I doing? Like, all I'm doing is hurting people and that's it. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. And I think it was after some, like, serious stuff kind of happened to me and I was like, damn, I don't want to make other people feel like this. So I sort of changed my ways and say, you know what? No, I'm going to be more positive now. I'm going to be kind, at least try and be nicer to people when I can.
Yeah, like, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, I find that as I got old, like I'm about 4,000 years old now, but as I've gotten older, I remember there was a time in my life where if anybody mentioned Final Fantasy VIII, I would go into a 2-hour-long tirade telling them why they were wrong, what was bad about it, why they shouldn't like it, instead of just being like, oh, they like this game, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I used to do that with several things, Metal Gear Solid 2, a few other games that I used to like get really passionately angry about, and I was like, why am I so And then I came to realize that I think the reason I was so passionately angry is because maybe I actually, if something can have that much of an effect on me, it must have had a big effect on me. I don't hate it because
Yes.
that kind of passion comes from somewhere. So I rewatched a friend play Final Fantasy VIII, and what I found was I was like, whoa, watching somebody else play this game, I like it way more than when I played it back in 1998 or whenever when it came out.
I feel
And
that.
yeah, and that's one thing I've big time changed is like trying to change people's minds about things because I'm like, why was I doing that? Why would that behavior is not helpful? Like,
what I've learned is that a lot of people's opinions are set in stone from very early on, so there's no point because you will not change their opinion because let's be honest, everyone does it. You have your opinion and you stick with it.
Yeah.
Unless presented with such information that you have to change it.
Yeah.
You know, unless you find out the I don't know, like say you think a game is depicting a certain thing, and then all of a sudden the developers and like writers come out and say, "Yeah, it's actually all about like this personal experience of mine." And you go, "Oh, so you change your thought process to and you kind of think to yourself, okay, my interpretation was still good and it connected with me, but this is the official version of it." So I guess it's good to have both because you hear what they were trying to intend. And what you got from it, and you can compare how close you were.
I love what you're saying there because you've just been hanging out as playing the Life is Strange games, and there was a lot of that in that because they are quite interpretive. Like you can kind of take in certain things about them.
Yeah.
And like there will be moments where people in chat will be like, "Oh, it's this. It's 100% this." And it was cool because like I was like, "Well, I read it differently, but you're like, it's a very personal experience game." And your personal experiences are yours, and I'm not going to try and change them.
Yes.
I didn't like that. We also had a dev in chat who was like, "Oh, well, actually, this is what we meant." And then it was like, as you say, I was like, "That's cool. I still feel my way. I'm sure the person in chat still feels their way, but it's cool to know that this is the official line."
Yeah, it's cool to know that this was the intention.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always like hearing that stuff about games, like what they intended it to do, or what like, because certain parts of games you think, why is that there? Like, why is this?
And movies, man, yeah, it happens.
Yes,
like, media and or books, like anything.
I've done it a lot with games where I think to myself, why is this section here? It literally has, and in my brain, I go, this has no purpose other than to like maybe stretch runtime. And then I find out it's like, no, it's all to do with pacing and story, and I'm like, oh my god, I get it. One of them that just clicked for me recently was Half-Life 2. Now, for everyone who doesn't know, right, I have never finished Half-Life 2. The furthest I got was, God, I think it's maybe end of Highway 17.
Okay.
Right? And I thought to myself during that section, I was like, I think it was during the Highway 17, like, why is this section so long? And I find out through watching studies about it that no, it's because you have, like, small like set areas of combat and then you have this in between to give you a break to just kind of sit and calculate and it's not overly challenging and then you go into another combat section. And I'm like, I get it now, I understand, because if I went straight from combat to combat I would be shattered by the end of it.
You'd just be barraged. That's what like that's kind of that's kind of what the Call of Duty games are. They're kind of encounter to encounter to encounter.
Oh
like,
yeah, I can God. After playing, I think it was Modern Warfare 3, and then playing that all in one night, and then playing Black Ops 2 a couple nights later for Let's Plays, like literally played all of them straight through one night, sat through the entire thing and just recorded every episode like back to back. And my God, can I tell you that I was so tired at the end because it was just
drained,
because it was and you can see it as the episodes go on. At the start, I'm like, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to. Like, welcome to Modern Warfare 3. And then by the end, I'm like, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to final episode, Modern Warfare 3. This is the finale. Let's go. You could hear me getting more tired.
This is the finale. Thank God. Let's do it.
Oh, no, I can't say. There was no game, right, that I wanted to finish more. Like, I got so tired of it by the end. Was Black Mesa, the remake of Half-Life 1.
Oh, yeah. I haven't actually played that.
That is to date my longest Let's Play.
No.
It was 18, at least 45 to an hour long episodes. 18 of those.
What?
On a first playthrough. Because,
oh my goodness.
Because when I do a playthrough, I like to leave it fairly uncut. because I just want people to be able to sit back, relax, experience the game with me the same way that I do, without any jump cuts, unless one was needed because I was repeating a section constantly. Like, unless that happened, I wouldn't cut it. And that's only if it got like excessive. If I had to repeat it like once, then nah, I'm not cutting that. There's no point.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but honestly, by the time I was getting towards the actual Zen sections, getting towards the end, I was like, God, just please let this, please. I think maybe by part 14, I was like, please just let it end. Because again, I had to, yes, and I sat there because some of the sections of that game are just so, I'll be honest, a little overextended.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people complained about Zen. Like, in the original Half-Life, people complained that Zen was a bad area. And from looking at the footage of it, yeah, it didn't look that great. But they turned what was previously like an hour of your time into like an hour and a half in Black Mesa. So they added more to those areas, which, don't get me wrong, it made the level way better gameplay-wise and kept it more in line with what was happening before. But my God, did you get the same kind of puzzle over and over?
No.
Constant cable puzzles where you had to parkour to the air. It's like, I just want this to be over, please. Just let it end. And by the time I got to the final boss and I finished the game, I was like, okay, nope, I'm never coming back to this. I'm never replaying Black Mesa ever again. I didn't say Half-Life 1, I meant Black Mesa. I'm never replaying this again. No, thank you.
It's funny what you were talking about there. Just it reminded me of when I first started doing the YouTube channel. I was doing gameplay vids with my mates. Like we were hopping on every week and we were playing World War Z together and putting out like videos every week with that. And the funniest part about it was like the very first episode, we tried the first level, New York, of World War Z, I think like 14 times, and we kept dying. So like at the very start of like what the clip that we ended up using, it just became a running joke then for the rest of that series. I was like, hey guys, we're here, we're about to play this level in World War Z for the very first time ever. We have no previous experience with this. And everyone's like pissing us laughing. And then we get to like 10 episodes in where we are actually starting for the first time. And we're saying like we're starting for the first time, and people are like, nah.
They've had it. Yeah, like they played that already.
Joe, like we actually had a good run. Yeah. Like, we did really good, but no one's going to believe us.
No one's going to believe that that's a first time. Yeah. Oh, I had an experience like that literally like maybe 10 minutes before I got on here.
Oh, no.
Left 4 Dead 2. Oh, right? I know, I love it as well. Right? So, we decided to play the map Dead Center, which is literally the first map that you can play.
Yeah.
And we get to the final section. Right? When I say we must have tried that over 10 times. Right? To put it... Right, okay. So, the entire mission took us an hour and 22 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that a good part of that, maybe at least half an hour to 40 minutes of it, was just the final section. Because you have to run around the entire place, grab gas cans to put them in the car.
I remember that.
Yeah, that. But of course, there's chargers, there's tanks,
special effected everywhere. Yeah.
Yes, they're all over the bloody place. And each time, and what made it even worse was we had 3 players and an AI. At one, right, on the first run, the AI threw a mullet. Right, we were just throwing all the gas canisters down next to the car so that we could fill them up all in one go. The AI threw a Molotov at the zombies,
right, by the gas canisters,
and blew every single one of them up that we hadn't filled in. So for the next couple of times, we went, you know what, screw it, we're just gonna kill the AI right before we go in, and we did. So we killed it. And then for our final run, we're like, okay, we're consistently going down and can't get to one another. Let's maybe keep the AI so that it can come get us. And then even at that, it took us maybe 2 or 3 tries on that just to get it. And we got lucky. We got so lucky by the end of it. It was, oh.
Did you play the Back 4 Blood beta by any chance?
No, I haven't.
I had a go of it. And like, obviously it's, I know it was an alpha possibly. I don't even know if it was beta. They were looking for feedback on it when they put it out, And it was very apparent why, because the AI director was broken, even by comparison to
Oh,
Left 4 Dead.
no.
Like which
Yeah, it
sometimes
was
the
totally brain dead.
sometimes the AI director in Left 4 Dead does crazy stuff. Like
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
like here's 6 chargers. You're like, what did I do that made you decide to throw 6 chargers at me at once? And
Yeah.
that's Back for Blood. But like I'm looking at it, and when I was playing the alpha, I was like, there's a really good game in here, and maybe that's why the best thing they're doing is doing
Is
this
asking
alpha
for
and getting
feedback.
people, because they probably know, they're probably like this thing is broken. We need to figure out like what working for people, what isn't in the real world. So hopefully it's good, because I mean,
I'm hoping so as well. It looks good. I seen the trailer for it. It looks really interesting.
it is like, and those giant monsters are terrifying. I remember when I encountered my first one of them, I freaked out. I was like, what the hell is that?
Oh,
But
man.
and plus it's hilarious that Turtle Rock had to go off and do it that way, because Valve just don't know how to count to
Valve hate the number 3. There's no Team Fortress 3, Portal 3, Half-Life 3. No.
Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
Literally, none of it is 3. God. I love that the internet has called their developments Valve time. I love that. When something just gets stuck for a really long time, Valve time. It's like it's like, okay, this game's coming out in like, when did they say Team Fortress 2 was going to come out? It's like, this is going to come out in the year 2000. It's been pushed back. It's been pushed back. We're completely redoing it. We're redoing it again. It's coming out in 2007. And then it happens.
The one thing I would say is, if we learned anything in 2020, it's that sometimes maybe Valve time is the right time. Because
Perhaps,
I think if CD Projekt Red had stuck to Valve time, the world would be in a different place right now.
Oh, Lord. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Like, and I have a lot of empathy for those devs, like, because I know, having worked as a dev, I know how hard it is. And especially when you're kind of working to like the shareholders, it's not that you're like, it's not, oh, we want to get this game out because we really want to, because it's like, no, it's like, you have to get it out
no, because
Christmas.
we need money.
Yeah.
It's exactly. Like, I've heard so many development stories of games that got cancelled, like when they literally had, maybe they could have fixed it within like 6 months, but they'd already, like, they'd taken their budget, no publisher, company goes bankrupt. I think a good example of that was, oh no, what were they called? I've forgotten. Was it Pandemic Studios?
Oh, the guys who did Mercenaries and
I can't remember. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was Pandemic that got.
They were owned by
I think
EA
Level 5 as well. Who were like Level 5, who made the
Dark Chronicle, Dark Cloud, Nino
What were the Star Wars ones that they did? The Rogue Squadron. Yeah, those guys got shut down as well, trying to make a game, and it just completely failed because
they were Factor 5. Sorry, that's why I got confused.
Factor 5, that's it. It's not level 5.
Level 5 were the Nino Kuni guys. That's why I was like,
yeah, Level 5 did Nino Kuni and stuff. Yeah. Factor 5, sorry.
You're all good. Yeah, it was Lair, that game they did on PS3.
Oh, I don't even remember.
Yeah, that was the game that killed them, man. It was so heartbreaking.
I think there's another one that also killed them, that it just never it got cancelled at the last minute because it was so broken. I can't remember what it was.
It's happened so many times. The guys who did Time Splitters, which is like one of the best FPS games ever made, and then they made Haze for the PS3, and it was such a colossal failure.
A lot of it seems to be PS3, Xbox 360 era games that just get shut down.
Just got rushed out the door and just,
I wouldn't even say necessarily rushed. I think a lot of them could have been amazing projects.
Yeah.
If the budget had been a little bigger and publishers had stuck out a little bit longer, like 6 more months, and it would have been done.
Or they weren't being hampered, like with Lair. I remember Factor 5, Sony were like, you have to use the 6-axis, and Lair were like, it won't work, it'll be stupid.
It's just not gonna happen. Make it happen.
No one wants to control a dragon like that. They want to actually fly the dragon with the controller. And like, they try to fix it later with patches and stuff, but it's like the damage is done.
Yeah, the damage is already done. It's implemented, it's dead.
Like, and we went through that as well. I remember our first game, we submitted to Sony for QA in like November, and then they didn't look at it through Christmas because they take Christmas off.
So
January they came back, and we were supposed to be releasing in February, I believe.
Oh god.
And they came back and they were like, "Oh, this is broken. Here's a list of all the things that are broken in your game." We were like, "Oh crap!"
No.
And so we had to push back to March. And even when we released it, there was still issues. We knew, like, we were like,
yeah. All I can say, if you hadn't said it had come out with issues, all I would have said was Valve time. Just push it back, and it comes out, and people love it.
I was the guy. This is why I have so much empathy as well for the likes of CD Projekt Red, because I was the business manager of the company, so I had to be like they were like, "This is broken, that's broken," and I had to be the one making those horrible calls. Like, we got to put it out. We got it. Like, we have to close our doors if we don't. And
that's unfortunate.
It ended up getting reviewed really well and doing really well, so that was great. That was called Mad Blocker Alpha. It was for the PSP and PS3. It was a little Tetris clone style thing.
A good first project.
Exactly. That was our first ever Flash game. So then we were like, when we got to console games, we were like, let's do what we know.
Yeah, let's redo it. Yeah, that's fair. Plus, I think it's good that if a new team starts off with, take a concept and put something else to it. Give Tetris a fresh new spin for a first project. Then maybe go in, because I've heard so many development teams that stretch themselves too thin on their first project and then go, we can't even finish this. Yeah, we cannot finish this.
Like we almost did that with our second project, because our first project was, as I say, nice and simple. Yeah. And then for our second project, myself and the art director, it was like, okay, that was Cullum's baby. That was our programmer. That was his project, the Tetris. Because he was like, it'll be easy to program. So then we were like, okay, now we're the art guy and the music guy. What do we want to make? Yeah. And it was like, we want to make a platformer, and we wanted to be like Shinobi, but with the speed of Sonic. And like, it was so massively overambitious for us. It got done. Again, it got reviewed well. It actually was, I think, our top selling game.
Oh my god.
It was called Ninjamurai.
All right.
Half ninja, half samurai. I think it sold well on the dumb name alone. But it did well. But like, when I play it now, I'm like, how? Like, this is so broken, man. You couldn't even see, like, if you were going through an area that was filled with spikes, it was like pot luck, because like the level design, I did the level design. It was so bad. I want to play them on stream some night, just show people like, this is a game I made. Watch how bad this is.
I'd watch that. Yeah. I'd watch you playing your own games.
I keep I love, one thing about Twitch that I do love is when you get to go and see voice actors and stuff playing the games that they're in. Yeah, I think that's super cool. So I love that side of Twitch where it is like creators playing stuff they're involved in as well.
One of the ones that I didn't watch, but I have liked a lot of people's reaction to, is Brian Deckard playing Detroit.
Oh yes, I heard him.
I have that game back there. I haven't played it yet. I haven't played Detroit yet.
I love when I hear people say I haven't played insert game here yet, and it's a game I love. It just makes me excited, because like, I always think of it in terms of Men in Black. I'm like, if I had that fucking thing that they have that wipes people mind.
Yeah, wait, so mate, I would do this again.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's only is the one thing
many games that I wish I could have experienced again.
That's the one thing about gaming that is kind of bittersweet, is that you only get one first playthrough ever.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And it's unfortunate.
It's a sacred thing, like it really is.
The one that I always think back to as well, because my proper first ever game that I ever got into was probably like most kids nowadays, Minecraft.
Oh yeah.
You only get one first world. And that first world it's the worst one that you make, but it's also got a really special place, and unfortunately I don't have it anymore, and it makes me so sad. No. Because I had like a really bad roller coaster, because I was trying to emulate a different YouTuber who had also made a roller coaster. So I just went, you know what, I could probably do that in creative mode. It was a shambles.
Oh no.
It was an utter shambles. Don't get me wrong, it worked. But it wasn't exactly a roller coaster. It was more akin to your morning commute on a train. It was more akin to that rather than a roller coaster.
I get you.
Yeah.
I get you. It was like the kids' version of a roller coaster.
Yes, it was. That's literally what it was. It was the kiddies' version. Because it was very simple. It was literally just, You come out, you maybe turn around, you go up, you go through a thing, go down, and then you're back at the start. Oh, it's got a special place in my heart, though. I always remember that world.
I know my daughter is going to go through that as well, because obviously Minecraft was pretty much like you, her first gaming experience.
Yes.
She's 9 now. And she loves it. That and The Sims are her favorite. Sims 4 are her favorite games.
Ooh.
But like that, she legit. I'm sure she's lost all her first words by now, because she's moved platforms so much, and like she's playing it on my laptop, and then she was playing it on Switch, and then she's playing it on PS4, and God only knows if she. I think the Switch got wiped at one point for whatever reason, you know.
Oh,
so like, as you say, it's kind of sad that they. But then it's the same, I guess. If I think back, I'm like, oh my God, my first playthrough of Metal Gear Solid 3 on the PS2, and I'm like, I don't have that memory card. I don't have. All I have is the memory.
The memory, yeah.
And that's why Twitch is awesome, because, right, for example, you're playing Metal Gear Solid at the moment for the first time.
I mean, this will come out probably long after I've finished it.
But yeah, you just beat Metal Gear Solid for the first time.
In terms of my uploads, I think, because I upload a lot of my Twitch streams, and if I'm playing a game for the first time, I upload my stream and title it as the playthrough. Yeah. Because it is, let's be honest.
Yeah, of course.
So, by the time that this goes up, part 1 is up, so stream 1. And I'm yet to play it again currently, but again, probably by the time that this actually goes up, I'll have streamed it again a bit, at least be further through it, maybe finished. I don't know.
But like, you get to have that experience, like, and that is one of those like ones that when I say like Men in Black experiences, that's one of them for me. Red Dead Redemption 2 is another one. Final Fantasy 7. Like, there's some that are just like, I would give anything. I would give like my right arm to be able to just get
to do this again. The one that I wish I'd streamed my first playthrough was actually Final Fantasy 7's remake, because I did not stream that when I first played it, because I just said, I think I was sitting at home one night and I just went, okay, I'm going to, because I had a bunch of games from Christmas. I think I had like a ton of PS4 games because I just got one. Yeah. Off my stepdad, and I missed a ton of exclusives. So I got like God of War. Detroit didn't work on my PC, so I got it on. So I got it on there. Honestly, Final Fantasy 7, and what was the other one? I haven't played it. No, I remember. It's The Last of Us, and I haven't played it yet.
Oh, yes. I haven't. My God, I'm so jealous of you.
I haven't played The Last of Us either. And I haven't played it yet, because I'm debating on, do I want to experience that on my own like I did with Final Fantasy, or do I want to wait until I can stream it? And the way I'll record it, at least, the way that I want to. And I don't know.
Controversial opinion is that, like, I don't know. I didn't stream The Last of Us Part 2.
Ooh.
And I regretted it so much afterwards. I did a secondary stream where I played through it again, like where I played it on stream, and I was like, this just isn't the same. I should have played this on stream at launch. Yeah. But there was so much, just to be quick, there was so much toxicity around it. I was actually scared to play it on stream. I was like,
I remember like a lot. Like, it was a whole thing of either people loving it or absolutely hating it. There was no in between.
Yeah. And like,
I think the only in between was the people like me who just went, I haven't played it.
Yeah. Like, I got through all the leaks, everything with no like spoilers.
Yeah.
I was doing so well. I bought it at 12 midnight on the night of release.
Yep.
I was played it through the night. At 6 a.m. I was like, I'll go in and I'll get 2-3 hours sleep and I'll come back out and play it a bit more. But as I was logging off for the night, I went to Twitter, like, just to check my feed. Pressed refresh. The first thing that popped up was just a white box full of all the spoilers.
No.
And like, it was that thing where I read like the first 2 lines and was like, oh no. And it was like, I couldn't close it down fast enough for my brain to not like take it in. And I was like, you assholes. This is just cruel. Like, the morning, I played 6 hours of it.
I feel that hurts.
It was.
I've luckily enough managed to stay away from any Last of Us spoilers. Because before I even looked at getting a PS4, because I didn't have it, and I think it's still exclusive.
Yeah,
I think
it is,
yeah, and because I never had a PS4, never bothered to look at it because I thought I'll never get the chance to play it. So what's the point? Yeah. And that's quite lucky for me that I've managed to avoid everything. The
That
only
is
thing I know,
incredible.
the only thing I know is character names. I know Joel, Ellie, and that's it. And
Yeah,
I know what
that's
they look like, obviously, just from seeing pictures and people talk
yeah.
about them.
But like that is again like having that kind of, it's why you were on the other night when I was doing my Hades first ever blind playthrough.
Yeah.
And when I told people couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm legitimately, when I say this is a blind playthrough, I mean, I have seen some of the character art, and I think during the VGAs, I saw a little bit of footage in the middle of like a big compilation video.
Yeah.
But like beyond that, I haven't seen screenshots. I haven't seen videos. I was like,
sorry.
No worries.
No, I'm okay.
Sorry.
You're all good. You're all good.
Okay, so what was I talking about? Yeah, one game that I would love to go back and redo again, but stream it, would have been Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
Because
I get that.
That game got to me in ways that no other game did. I mean, you've seen me talk about it already, so you know that I really connected with it.
I do, and do you know what I absolutely love about that? Right, is I'm gonna say that, right, because I'm an old fart, right? When it first came out, friends of mine who had never played the OG or anything, who were always like, when we talk about games, that I'd be like, Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game. They'd be like, oh, stupid turn-based battle system. I hate that. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Remake came out, and some of those friends were like, that's the best game I ever made. It blew me away.
Yeah.
There was a part of me, and I'm so glad that it died, thankfully, that was like, they're taking my experience away. They're taking, like, it's my, like, I felt like a hipster about it.
Yeah.
But when I hear you say, like, because you're a young lad, when I hear you say that, like, that had that effect for you, I'm like, that's awesome, because 20 years ago, that game had that effect for me.
Yeah.
So how cool is it that that's what these remakes can do?
Yes.
Is they can bring relevance to something that I don't think you couldn't have the same experience of Final Fantasy VII OG. Like when I played it, it was like state of the art, unbelievable.
But now it would look outdated.
Yeah,
and it has made me consider getting the original and playing it for stream, because I played the remake and it gives me some ideas. And also Casey brought it up as well, saying you should definitely stream the original.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it's funny.
and then she threw me under the bus by saying it was definitely going to happen. So now I have to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I have to do it. Thanks, Casey. You threw me under the bus.
That's Casey. That's our Casey. We love her.
Yeah, we love Casey here.
It was the same with my mate, the guy who was, as I say, every time we talk about Final Fantasy VII, who was like, oh, stupid turn-based battle system, so dumb.
Yeah.
After he beat the remake, he played the OG and he was like, oh my god, this game is amazing. I was like, I've been saying this for 20 years.
Yeah. Like I've been saying this for so long.
But as I say, I've gotten away from that mentality of being like annoyed by somebody else finding something that I love. And instead it's like, it's like same with Resident Evil, right? I love the Resident Evil games.
Mm-hmm.
And the new Resident Evils have brought in a generation of players who would have never probably really gotten hooked on Resident, or know the stories of Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3.
I have that. I literally have that experience.
Yeah.
Because
awesome.
I want to talk about this, because you and me have both played Resident Evil 3 Remake.
Yes.
And from what I understand, we both fairly enjoyed it.
I had a I played it between PC and PS4. I platinumed it on both. Like I got all the achievements on PC and I got the platinum trophy on PS4.
Yep.
I put in maybe about 60 hours into it between both platforms.
Yep.
Like, I think the reason I enjoyed it, I can tell you outright, is I think the pacing in that game is fire. I think it's incredible.
I like the pacing as well. I feel like it builds up fairly well.
People say it's short, but I think what people kind of don't realize is that makes it, for me, an enjoyable experience, because it never gets laggy or slow.
Yeah.
Or
I would rather that a game was short and to the point rather than long, overdrawn. Like, and then you have, like, you know, these really high highs, but then you also get, Jesus Christ, kill me with a trowel. I want to get on to the next good bit.
That's happening to me with Assassin's Creed Valhalla at the moment. I'm enjoying it, but I'm like, a lot of those Ubisoft open world games are just so big that you're like, Christ, I just want to move on. I just want to get to the next story beat. And that's why, as you say, like I would rather a 6-7 hour game that is just like boom, 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 and it's so replayable. That's what I loved about Resident Evil 3 Remake. I was able to just, as soon as I finished it, I was like, I want to play it again because it was so much fun.
So that actually brings up a good point, because I played Resident Evil 3, I think 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not an achievement hunter. I don't go for any of that stuff. I just play it because I want to. And and like you said in your review, I've set myself smaller challenges sometimes.
Yes.
To go for it. So first time blind playthrough, streamed it all. That also brings up another reason why I have such a connection to that game in particular, is it's the game that brought me back for streaming. Because I seen someone who I really respect as a YouTuber. His name's Kadikarus.
Okay.
And I seen him start live streaming and things like that, and just watching him stream I hadn't streamed in about a year, and I went, I really want to come back to this now. Like, I really want to start streaming again. So the first thing I thought of was, okay, I can't come back and just do any game. It has to be, because I was in a really single player game mood, because it was early quarantine, like early first quarantine. So I was like, okay, I need something that is single player and that I can just enjoy on my own, not have to worry about anything else. So then I decided, okay, I'll start with Resident Evil 3, because at that point it was still fairly new. I think it was like a month old.
Yeah, it came out like the start of April.
And I did a stream before doing the 2 and 3 demos. I did a stream right before, and then literally right after that stream went, I've got to play Resident Evil 3. That's the one I enjoyed the most, so I fired it in. And yeah, that was the first game that I played while streaming. And it was during those streams that one of my friends stopped in and said to me, hey, we should try and get you to affiliate. It was actually my last guest who was on. And he said, yeah, we should try and get you to affiliate. And I immediately just went, the hell's Twitch affiliate? I'd never heard of it. And yeah, so I just went, you know what? Yeah, screw it. Go for it. And then from that moment on, Resident Evil 3 Remake is a special place in my heart. And that's why, so that was the first time I played it. Second time I played it was when I hit affiliate. Because I went, okay, it only makes sense to end it where we've started.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to play this all in one stream for hitting affiliate. I think it was like a 5-6 hour stream. I ended it at midnight. I was absolutely shattered by the end. It wasn't my first run went better, ironically enough. Yeah, my blind run went better than knowing what was happening. And then and then I played it again for my review, because I hadn't played it in like a month or so. And then when I need to gather the footage anyway, I might as well replay it before I write the script.
Yeah. So
that I can remember everything.
Yeah, no, I get you. I did a long play on my channel. I wasn't streaming at the time, actually, because I didn't start streaming till July.
Mm-hmm. I think that's around about the same time I came back, like June, July-ish.
Yeah, that was when I started. But when Resident Evil 3 came out, I was doing a lot of Resident Evil 3 focused content on the YouTube channel.
Yep.
So then I was like, would people watch a long play? And they were like, yeah, dude, go for it. And I was like, I'd gotten pretty, because I was playing that game like crazy. I nothing like a speed run, but I was able to get through. I was like, I can get through this in like 3.5 hours. I know I can. Like, and it's so funny because now one of my favorite streamers is a Resident Evil 3 speedrunner, CB Item Box. And I
seen that interview. I was watching it earlier.
Oh man, yeah, he's amazing. Like,
he seemed like a pretty cool guy.
What did he beat? He was number 8 or 9 on the leaderboard for a long time. And
God.
On Inferno mode, the hardest difficulty, he had 56 minutes, I think. And I was just like watching him do these. I was there when he got that. Like, and it was. It's so funny because I was never into speedrunning. It was something that was. It was like an alien concept to me. I was like, why did you put yourself through that?
I feel like that. I never wanted to try it, and I don't think I ever will. But I seriously respect the people that do. Mad props. Like the guy that came into my stream the other day, I think his Twitch name is Normal Bloke from Sheffield.
Oh, wow,
right?
That's an amazing.
Yeah, I know, it's a great username. right? But he came in and he said, well, I was playing it for the first time, and he said, like he gave me some hints on what to do because I was sat there asking chat, what the hell do I do? Like I was totally lost. There was no direction for me at all. I was like, do I? Because it's a section where you need to put C4 next to walls. You're in like a basement 2, and you need to blow up 3 walls in order to progress. I think it's before before the Ocelot fight, the first one. So it's before that, and I'm sat there like, what the hell am I doing? So he comes in at just the right time when I'm asking these questions and tells me what to do, and I'm like, oh my god, you legend! I never would have noticed that. And then told me, yeah, I speedrun this game. And I think he said his time was like 59 minutes.
It's just mind-blowing.
I know, it's mad. I'm like, I can't finish any of these games close to that time.
No, same.
My fastest time on Resident Evil 3, I think, is maybe... God, like 3 hours and 10 minutes? At fastest? Maybe?
I am proud of my fastest time. It's not a world record and it's not a speedrun level time.
Oh yeah,
I'm very proud. It's so funny because it's not a speedrun time by about 8 minutes, I think.
Oh my, you're kidding.
My fastest time in Resident Evil 3 Remake, and it was again this was with the special weapons.
Oh yeah.
Most speedrunners won't do their runs with special weapons. They do it like clean. But I did it with special weapons in 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I was like, whoa. How did I do that?
How? Yeah.
When I was on standard difficulty as well.
Yeah, I do my playthroughs on standard.
Yeah.
Because I hate that. Like you, I hate assistant mode. It's too easy.
Exactly. Yeah. And like the thing is, I always say this though, if I was watching a streamer and they were playing on assisted mode, I had a lot of people that have come into my chats in the past when I've been playing a game and be like, what difficulty are you playing on? I'm like, normal or whatever. And they're like, this game is only good if you play it on hard. And I'm like, I don't like that kind of difficulty shaming, that kind of like, you have to be playing it on the hardest difficulty for it to be good. It's like, let people enjoy the stuff at their own rate. Like, you know.
A lot of the games that I play on the easiest difficulty because, at least for my first time at least, because I just want to sit back and enjoy the story rather than being bogged down in combat sections where I lose the story because I'm too busy going, for God's sake, why can't I pass this?
There's so many great gaming experiences that have been ruined by getting to like a boss that you're not able to beat and then just getting annoyed at the game and putting it aside.
Yeah. I almost wanted to do that with Metal Gear Solid for the boss fights because I got to them and obviously I'm what they would probably call, like, I grew up with like a lot of the modern games that we have. Yeah. Which, let's be honest, are pretty easy in comparison to like any PS1 game.
Very true.
Like any game now, even on some of the harder even if you play that on hard, if you play Call of Duty on veteran, there's probably still a PS1 game that will kick your ass.
It's why when I hear people going on about how hard Dark Souls is, I'm like, lads, go back and play Super Mario World. I
tried Dark Souls as well. I've tried Dark Souls. I did one stream of that. Never again.
Ali did well with it. I was really impressed with her, actually.
I will never touch that game again. My friend's really good at Dark Souls 3. He's beat it like 20 plus times. It's not my kind of game. Okay, so this is controversial opinion time. Not really controversial. More just, I guess it's the age I've grew up in.
Shocking.
I've never sat down and finished a Zelda game ever. It's not shocking. Yeah, not that shocking. But to most people assume that you've played a lot of the standard games, so you've played at least one Mario, one Zelda. Yeah. Nope. The only experience I've had with it was the beginning of what's the one they remade on the Switch? A Link to the Past? No, not A Link to the Past.
Wait.
Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening, that one. Yes, when they remade that, I've played the opening to that, and that's it. And I think a little bit of the Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask DS. Again, like DS the first bit of it, but never really got properly into them.
The only reason I ask is because that's the one way that I convinced a lot of people. I was the biggest. I did not like Dark Souls. I was like, I don't get why anybody puts themselves through this. This is torture and all this. And then I got addicted to Bloodborne on the PS4. And I was like, why am I addicted to this? It's exactly the same as Dark Souls.
It's Dark Souls.
Like, but it was like, I think what it was it was horror, and I love horror.
Yes.
I eat, sleep, and breathe horror, and Bloodborne is so scary that I fell in love with it. And then I realized I was like, I always say this to people now, if they are Zelda fans. So for your listeners, if you're a Zelda fan and you've been scared off by Dark Souls, it's just grown up Zelda. That's all it is. Like when you actually get down,
That's such
to
a
the nuts
good
and
way to
bolts
describe it.
It's like you lock on with your Z targeting,
Yeah.
as they called it in Zelda. And
I'm one of those people that don't get me wrong, I like the lore and the type of world that Dark Souls has built. Like that kind of medieval fantasy. Something about it really draws me in.
Yeah.
So like all the tales of King Arthur and stuff, that really draws me in.
Oh yeah.
But I cannot do Dark Souls gameplay. That's what does it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, put it this way, I got to Undead Parish in the first game and then went, nah, this isn't it. This isn't it, lads. Like, this isn't the game for me, lads. This isn't the game for me.
That's fine too, though. That's what I love. The greatest thing about games as a platform is there's so many of them, and they cater to so many different people. And again, I think one of my favorite things that I've started to see, especially in the communities that we find ourselves in now, is that people are so open and understanding about that. Like, there isn't this like, you don't like this. Yes. What the hell is wrong with you? There's no gatekeeping. There's no like elitism about like, if someone in those channels was like, I don't really play that many games, but I like love, I don't know, Candy Crush Saga on my phone.
I feel like gaming is one of the few communities that doesn't have a lot of gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there are certainly gatekeepers out there, but the entire community as a whole, it's to a bare minimum.
Yeah, and it's
and I love that.
It's more so within franchises, like, because what I find is like,
oh my god,
like the Resident Evil community. You know, I've made some amazing friends through the Resident Evil community, and I love them. But at the same time, there is so much. If somebody says, "Oh, I love this Resident Evil," it's like you're not a true fan. It's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah,
bro? Like,
I mean, to reference a part of my own culture, the no true Scotsman fallacy. Yeah, that's simply it. There is no true fan of something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why, okay, another opinions that may be slightly controversial, right, to the Resident Evil community. I prefer 3 Remake over 2 Remake.
Over 2 Remake?
Yes. For me personally, Resident Evil 3 Remake is my kind of game. Resident Evil 2 Remake, don't get me wrong, loved it.
Yeah.
Played both campaigns. Really enjoyed both campaigns. Played like both A scenarios.
Yeah.
Really loved it. It was great. But part of me preferred 3 Remake due to pacing and just the fact that it was more action oriented. Whereas part of me, I found Resident Evil 2 scarier, which I think was the whole point of it.
Yeah, more atmospheric, definitely.
Yes. But for my specific tastes, I mean, here's the part to prove it. Like I said, I've played Resident Evil 3 about 4 times.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back to 2.
So this is where I get to join in your controversial opinion, because I'll go a step further, and this has upset a lot of my friends within the Resident Evil community.
Let's hear it.
Like, I was the odd one out when I was younger, because I was never a gigantic fan of Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 3 were my favorite PS1 era Resident Evil games.
Yep.
And people are always like, but 2 is the best. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're wrong. And I'm like, I can respect it. I appreciate it. I think it's a really cool game. It just wasn't my favorite. I like the characters. I like everything about it. A lot of stuff about it, but it's just not my jam. Personally.
It doesn't sit with me the same way the others do.
Yeah. And then exact same thing. I really enjoyed Resident Evil 2 Remake when it came out. I played it a lot. I played it a fair amount as well, because I did all those stupid hidden or Ghost Survivor things. They were doing, oh my god, they made me so angry.
I've heard those are a bit of a pain, yeah.
I actually uploaded all of my my finished runs of them to my YouTube channel.
I'll need to look at those.
I was so proud of myself.
Yeah, for getting through them.
This is hell. But even though I played a lot of Resident Evil 2, I would say that, like, as I say, I've literally done everything I can possibly do in Resident Evil 3 Remake. There's loads in Resident Evil 2 that I never bothered doing, because I was like, I haven't done all the campaigns. Like, I haven't done A and B. I think I've done like A, B, A or something.
I've done both A campaigns.
Yeah.
because I did one of them that I was streaming when I played it, where I played Leon's for stream. And then I bought the game for my dad because he was a massive Resident Evil 2, or a massive Resident Evil fan in general. I still have the 3 original games.
Nice.
I have Code Veronica, the original 4, we have 5, and I have 6 up there.
Nice.
We have all of them, essentially. Like, all the, at least the mainline titles apart from 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Right? And I would say that I bought that game for him and I played Claire because I've played Leon's already.
Yeah.
I don't want to play that immediately after. So I played Claire A. And then probably one day we'll go back and we'll do Leon so I can show him that campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
But another thing that I do join the majority of the Resident Evil community in one opinion. I do not like, and I think you share the sentiment as well because I've seen a video. I hate Resident Evil 0.
So
I do not like that game. I got past the train section and went, this is not for me. Again, it's a video on my YouTube channel. The entire stream is there. And people can see that I was not liking it at all.
I am definitely going to watch that. I don't hate 0. I definitely would not make it up there as one of my as one of my favorites. But I don't hate it. But what I did find was I replayed it. The very first video that I recorded for my YouTube channel.
Yep.
But I never released until I did it as we hit 300 subs, and I was like,
here's this unreleased video.
Yeah, and it was awful. But I was playing 0, and I ended up finishing it without recording the rest of it that time around. And by the end of it, a little bit like your Half-Life story, by the end of it, I was like your Black Mesa story.
Yeah, please just let this end.
I was like, how many endings does this game have? Just be over.
I couldn't bear to go through any more of it. That stream's like an hour and a half, and that's all I could do. I'm like, no, this just isn't for me. I'm not enjoying this. I'm not going to force myself through it for the sake of content. No, thank you. And it's it's the one Resident Evil game that I will not touch. I'm willing to try the rest of them. Yeah. So I have not played anything past 4. Okay. I'm actually planning on streaming Resident Evil 4 soon.
Have you? So you played the remake though, yeah? Of the first game.
Resident
Evil 1 remake.
I've played Resident Evil 1 remake, 2 remake, and 3 remake. Plus played a little bit of 1 OG as well.
I have such a gigantic soft spot in my heart and soul for Resident Evil 1 remake. I think as a horror game, it's to me it's the OG. Like I think it just does everything right as a horror game.
I like the additions they made as well.
Yeah, but that's I think 0 because they were made in the same engine and they came out at the same time. I think it's very fresh if you play 0 and 0. How much better the game design is in remake than it is in 0.
Which is rather unfortunate, I think, because Resident Evil 0, I think the story at least is passable, maybe. And as a
it's a bit unnecessary.
It's a bit unnecessary, but as a prequel, what can you really do? The story that it has is good enough in explaining how Rebecca got there. Right?
I do love though that it's explaining how Rebecca got there. But she doesn't mention, also, I was in this other mansion, there was this giant leech monster. I fought it. We blew the place up.
The problems oh god, the problems of retconning.
Yeah, exactly. It's she's just like, oh, hi, Chris, when you meet her.
Hello. The other part that I've seen is the fact that, by the end of Resident Evil 0, she's, super strong, and then she's back to super weak in Resident Evil 1.
Save me, Chris.
Yeah. It's like, you've literally fought off the exact same monsters, and even the ones that we haven't found yet, you've already fought them off. Why do you need saving from zombies? Come on.
But also, the one problem was, in that game, in the OG, Rebecca was literally a plot device. She was literally there because they were like, Chris can't play piano because it would be weird for a big, buff, manly soldier to be able to play piano.
Oh, 90s stereotyping. We love you.
Exactly. Exactly. And then it's so they're like, well, he'll need a companion who's able to play piano, I guess.
Just we'll throw her back in there. Why not? Oh, God. But yeah, I think it was the fact that I came to 0 fresh off of 1, and that's why I got it. Because I said these were made at the same time. I love the style of Resident Evil 1.
Yeah.
The graphics, the engine, everything is just great about that game. I want more.
Yeah.
So let's try 0. Was not a fan. And then
I feel like so mean for laughing like that, but it's just like I just can imagine.
Yeah,
that was me in 2001 when those games came out.
You can
pretty
picture
much
that. You can picture the build up and then the sudden drop.
Oh, I've been there, my friend.
Oh man, the other ones that I haven't really experienced. I haven't experienced anything past 4.
Yeah,
and like I said, planning on streaming 4. Watch out for that soon. Because possibly by the time this goes up, depending on how long Metal Gear Solid takes me, I might already be in the process of streaming it. But
if so, go watch the streams before.
Go watch the bloody streams. Go on, please.
There's probably VODs there. You check them out.
Or if there's not a VOD, I'll probably upload it as like the Resident Evil 4 playthrough.
I am very intrigued to watch you play 4, just because 4 is such a divisive game within the Resident Evil community.
I've heard the majority of people say it's the best, but then I've also heard people say this was when it started to go downhill.
There's literally 2 camps. Like there's very few people that are kind of middle ground. I am luckily very middle ground. I have a lot of love for Resident Evil 4, but I also know. Like we say that
you know what happened afterwards.
Yeah,
the benefit of hindsight, I guess, is
exactly.
that you know what it led to.
Yes, yeah, and
I was really unfortunate that my first ever experience with Resident Evil. Now, bear in mind, I wasn't properly into the series yet. My dad hadn't touched it in years.
Yeah, it was definitely 6.
It was literally when I think 6 had been out for a little bit, and that was the first time I ever touched Resident Evil. But of course, 0 context. So I go into that first section. I go, "Who the hell's this guy? What the hell's going on? Why is this exploding? What happened?"
Without context.
Yeah, I can't
even imagine.
I only played the first bit, and I immediately got in. And I'm like, I think it was the controls, because I think they kept similar controls from Resi 4. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like that slightly tank style, and I'm, of course, not having any show to tank controls before. I'm like, what is this? Why?
My controller's broken.
Yeah, I'm like, why is he moving backwards when I pull back? Why doesn't he turn and face the camera?
Yeah, exactly.
And then, of course, I get in tank controls, don't get them, no idea what anything is going on. What the hell? And then I get to another section, and this is the point where I gave up. I go, the hell are herbs? I'm like, what did these do?
They chew on them. And they regrow their limbs and stuff.
They just graze in the middle of a battle.
Oh man! I cannot. I would again, right? In a very different way, I would like to be able to wipe my mind and play certain games again, because I can't even. I can. The only reason I can understand a little bit of what you maybe experienced is because with horror movies, I watched Friday the 13th 10 before I watched any of the previous movies in the franchise. So I was just like,
what is going on?
Cool, I guess. I have no idea what's happening.
You expected to go in and get a slasher film, but there's so much backstory.
Yeah, exactly. And it was all nonsense backstory that didn't apply to any of the other films. So, like, I would love, like, Resident Evil 6 has so much bullshit and nonsense in it that I'd say it must have just been, like, double Dutch.
Yeah. I did not even understand. I didn't know a Leon Kennedy from a Chris Redfield. See, now I have that benefit of playing earlier games and going,
yes,
oh my god. Because I played them in a really weird order. I did 3 remake, 1 remake, 2 remake.
Oh wow.
Yeah, weird order. But that's because of the way that I wanted to play them. I played 3 remake and went, I love this. And then said, I've played a little bit of 1 remake, didn't particularly like it. What if I revisit it? So I revisited it because I took a little break in between 3 and playing 2. And I went, I don't think I could do like another one of these games in a really similar style again. So I'll go
straight
play
away.
1 because I'm really interested to see, will I like it a second time round, now knowing more about Resident Evil. And it's now one of, like, if I had a top 3 games, it's there. It's either the top, it's either the top spot or a close second to Final Fantasy VII. It's like that really
awesome.
Yeah, and it's my favorite game regardless. Like, no matter what game franchise we talk about, favorite game ever made.
You know what blows my mind is, in that order, you basically got to have Resident Evil 1 be a prequel.
Yes.
Like, in a weird way.
Yeah, I did. And then
That's so
and then
cool.
now I'm moving on to continue Leon's story in 4. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll continue with the rest of the series. I don't know.
If you ever do Resident Evil 5 on stream, you can definitely hit me up to be your co-op buddy. I would gladly be there with bells on.
I would love that. That'd be amazing.
Because I'd love to stream that as well. Because I actually have a me and CB Itembox talked about this. I have a crazy soft spot for 5.
I have heard you say this as well.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of people say this sentiment
awful.
as well. Yeah, apparently the AI is very broken.
It's so bad.
Yeah, but I've heard a lot of people say they have a soft spot for 5. And again, it's like the series just kind of... I think this explains how the majority of people feel about most games, right? If I was to sum up the majority opinion on the Resident Evil series, 1 is a great starting point, but the original is a little bit dated by today's standards. Yeah. Resident Evil 2, a lot of people see it as the zenith of absolute perfection. This was the peak. Resident Evil 3 was... I think the majority opinion was it exists and it's functional. It's not the best game, but it's there. Yeah. You know, it's got some weird mechanics that weren't implemented just quite right in the original, which thankfully the remake managed to actually solve, which is great for a first-time experience. Exactly. Resident Evil 4 is very divisive, like you said. It's either you love it or hate it, like Marmite. And then you get 5, which a lot of people seem to have a soft spot for. Yeah. And then a lot of people hate 6. And then a lot of people loved 7. And now they're starting to really like 8 as well.
But also, a lot of people hate 7. Yes. This is one thing about the Resident Evil. That's maybe the second most divisive one after 4. Like,
yeah, it's 7.
Like, I don't know if you know 3DS Princess. She's another streamer.
No, I do not.
Me and her love chatting about Resident Evil. We're both joined. She does like knife only runs of all the Resident Evil games and stuff.
Nice.
And we love talking Resident Evil, and we have so many shared opinions on it.
Yeah.
But then you get to Resident Evil 7, and we are just
polar opposites.
Opposites.
I know that you're quite a fan.
I loved it. Like, I thought it was.
I've heard you talk about many experiences playing it multiple times desktop and then VR.
Yo, I couldn't. I got to the fucking front door, man, and I looked in, and I was like, I can't. Everything in my body is telling me, do not go into this house.
Yeah.
I loved it, and Autumn 3DS Princess was like, it's rubbish. It's the worst Resident Evil. This should never.
I have a weird thing about Resident Evil 7 and why I've never looked at it and played it. Is I am horrible with horror games.
Oh,
right?
Man,
I can't. It's one of those genres that, like, I can watch horror films. I can watch, I can look at horror art and comics. I cannot play the game. And I think it's that experience of being there and living it. And for Resident Evil 7, that gets pushed up even more because of the atmosphere that's generated in that game. Because I've played the demo. The atmosphere is amazing. Very creepy.
Perspective.
Yeah, and perspective. That's what I was about to say. So not only do I have to experience a horror game, but I have to experience it in first person. Like, seeing it as if it's me standing there? No.
So, right, I actually can empathize a lot, right? I love horror movies. I've always loved horror movies. I make horror movies. That's how much I love them. I enjoy horror games, but if I wasn't streaming them or recording them for my channels, I would never play them because they get under my skin too much.
Yeah.
Again, it's that feeling of you're in it, you know.
That's why I've stayed fairly clear from horror.
The older Resident Evil games to me weren't really, they were scary to some extent, but they weren't like as I said,
I think they're scarier because of it's not horror, it's survival horror.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's the key distinction because people get them mixed up a lot. So for those who don't know, survival horror tends to involve resource management or inventory management.
Yeah.
Something else to add a level of stress. And I think that's probably the best way to describe those games.
Definitely.
The fear is from the stress of having to either waste or lose items. And especially progress as well.
Yes, I was just going to say, like, ink ribbons in the old ones.
Yes.
Like, oh crap, I could literally have to go back like an hour and 20 minutes or something. For me though, with Resident Evil 7, that game, I don't know whether it's because I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre when I was like a kid or something like that, but everything about the aesthetic of that game, like being Louisiana swamp mansion thing, I never play games with a walkthrough. It's one of those things that's just not something I do. It's not out of any elitism or anything like that. It's just
I don't like to for a first time unless I'm genuinely completely stumped, no idea what to do, and then I will look things up. But I never look up a complete walkthrough. I look up specifically what I need. Yeah. I did it with Resident Evil 1 the first time round.
Yeah,
just to get some of those, just to get those final puzzles and things like that. And I just wanted to, fully understand like what I was doing and have an objective rather than just wandering around the mansion looking for things.
I tried playing Resident Evil 7 a bunch of times, and every time I would play it, I would get so much anxiety about what's coming around this corner, what's in the next room, what's in the next area.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to open a guide on my phone and play it like that because I was like, I need to know what's coming around.
Yeah, I need to know what's going to happen, or else I cannot take this.
And I've had loads of people be like, dude, seriously, it wasn't that scary. And I'm like, this is the thing about horror, guys.
Subjective.
It's totally personal. Like
horror is subjective. A lot of things that people find scary. I didn't find it all that scary.
Yeah, exactly.
When I watched it. But I know some people who can't even look at posters or promotional art because of multiple reasons. Either they found it really scary or they have a clown phobia. And that's what I think is good about horror. It's completely subjective. What gets me more is not jump scares. Obviously, the jump there, but the part that gets me more is if I'm walking through a narrow corridor, no music, and all I can hear is my footsteps or like a floorboard around me in a different room creaking.
Yeah.
That's what gets me.
Like,
when I play
tapping on the window.
When I play, oh my god, when I played, I think it was Outlast for the first time on my own.
Oh,
right. I played Outlast. I never beat that game. I never beat it.
Because it's terrifying.
Yes, but the first time I played it, whenever I play any horror game, I get spooked by my own footsteps because I don't expect them. I don't expect them to render my own footstep sounds. So I don't know why. I didn't expect them to render my own feet moving. So I took a step forward and then went, "The hell's that?" and literally spun in 360, just being like, "There's something here." Bear in mind, this is that first part where you're literally just into the asylum and you're just walking and nothing comes to get you yet.
Yeah.
So I'm just walking around. Something here.
Good horror is all suspense. It's all suspense. It's all build up. It's like a joke. They say that comedy and horror are so closely related because comedy is about the build up to the punchline and horror is about the build up to that scare.
Yeah, that horror is all about that build up of tension and then that release of tension and then building it back up again.
And the best creators of horror, like The Conjuring is one of my favorite horror movies, and the reason it is because James Wan does this amazing thing where he constantly convinces you that you've got it figured out. You're like, they're going to go in that room and this is going to happen. They're going to go, I know exactly. And then the thing doesn't happen and you're like, oh. And then the thing happens.
Yes.
And you're like, no, you
I think the classic example of that is there's a noise behind the door and the door's closed and you can hear a noise back there. They open the door, the room's empty.
Yeah.
They turn back around, boom.
Yeah,
and there's something there.
And like some creators overuse that trope and they kind of you start predicting it. You start going, oh, when they turn around, there's gonna. But then the really good ones are the ones that kind of double fake you, or even like, and as a horror filmmaker, I employ that stuff myself. Like when we made The Parish, my second feature film, a lot of it was I was like, I want this to be 80% suspense, 20% release. I want it to be all build and drive so that the payoff is like a lot bigger.
And I think that makes for good. That's what I think makes for good horror.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, I am not an expert on horror at all. It is possibly my least watched and played genre of media.
Oh well, then. Again, I'm excited for you because that means you've got years of because you're down that path now. Now that you've gotten into Resident Evil and stuff,
I start looking into more.
Yeah, it's a dangerous slope, man. Like
who knows? Maybe one day I'll build up to 7, and
Ooh,
maybe I'll be able to get through it.
I was just gonna say maybe someday you'll go back to that Outlast playthrough and you'll get through it.
Perhaps, who knows? Just have
VR.
like a. I can't even do VR. I wish I could do VR right now, but I can't.
Oh man. I love this. I love talking about all this. Like,
I love this stuff. It's great.
One of my favorite things about the whole streaming side of things so far, and meeting people like yourself and Casey and Ali and every Mega Boss, is that like we're all trapped at home without being able to go visit our friends or do anything. But we're making new friends and we're gushing about the things that we love, and that's so awesome.
Yeah, and it's through these communities that again I found new experiences that I would have completely overlooked before.
Yeah, like
that 7 remake Final Fantasy. I never would have touched Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
but I think it's there was someone who joined a few Casey's streams. If you know him. Maybe by name, but maybe I haven't seen his stuff. Turf.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know him by name.
Yeah, Turf. Yes, he was playing it on his stream, and I just joined in at random. It was like just around. He'd already been playing the game before he started streaming, so he started streaming, and I was joining him because I really like Turf. He's great.
Yeah,
he's he's such a gem, and
I gotta check him out, man.
Yeah. We love him here on this channel. He actually did my sub badge and a few of my, and he did my first emote as well, which it was really.
I'm gonna follow Turf as soon as I get off it.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't stream too much now, but he streams when he can. Just life gets in the way.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, as it does for many people. But yeah, I joined in at random, and he was doing the Hell House fight.
Oh wow!
And I sat through and watched him do the Hell House fight and thought, I've got to get this. I've got to find a way to play this game. And simply for the fact of I looked at the gameplay and went, this is interesting. I could get behind this. But the music for that fight, the music for that fight in particular, and it's got one of my favorite little rhythms that repeats throughout the whole game.
Yeah,
which is the I spoke about the and that repeats throughout multiple fights. I talked about it with Casey. It appears in Airbuster, done in electric guitar. It appears in Hell House as more of a choir sound or a orchestra. Sorry, not a choir. And then it appears for I don't remember his name. I think it's like Rufus Shinra. And it appears in a broken form. In that, and I loved it, and I loved hearing it every time I went through, and noticing that familiar rhythm and going, yeah, I like this song.
I will send you after we finish chatting. And I found a YouTube video earlier that was a guy said, "What if Mike? What's the guy who did the Doom soundtrack?
Oh, Mick Gordon, yeah."
Mick Gordon. They were like, "What if Mick Gordon did the Final Fantasy VII remake soundtrack?"
Oh my god!
And they did that song.
That is insane
in the Doom style. I'll have to send it to you.
That's another song that I really like. At Doom's Gate.
Yeah.
Like, but I love Mick Gordon's take on it because you get the original, which is very 90s. But then you get that version where he slows it down, but somehow the notes are more impactful. I love that so much, and the build up to when it eventually just goes full ham, and you can picture the Doomslayer to the song. You can picture the ripping and tearing. As it's playing.
I love that. Like one of my favorite things I've heard about Doom is the theory that we're not hearing video game background music in Doom, that the Doomslayer actually emanates this music from him. I was like, that is my favorite theory I've ever heard.
I like to imagine that the Doomslayer just has a Spotify playlist of metal. He just has all the music in game is just his Spotify playlist that's called like metal music to slay demons to, You know, it's
The
like those
rip and tear edition.
it's like those things you see on YouTube, like lo-fi music to chill and study to. It's like that. like like heavy metal to rip and tear to. And he just puts in his head, he puts in like little AirPods in his helmet. and just
That
just
is
absolutely wrecks face to a Spotify playlist.
so that's it. That's an even better theory. That's what I'm going. I'm going with that as canon now. That's what actually happens in Doom.
It's just Spotify. Oh god, that's great.
Oh my god! I actually have to play Doom Eternal. I haven't played it yet.
I've played the start. It's oh my god, it's great.
I need to. That's one that I've been saving for stream, but it just hasn't. That might actually be a good one to come back to Terrifying Thursdays on. Actually, maybe
the one thing I don't like about the newer Dooms is I think the movement speed is a little slow, like base speed. Yeah, because I look at the original Doom and
that's true.
Very
it's so fast.
Yeah, compared to the new one, it's definitely got that more fast paced approach. But the newer games still have the gameplay for it. But the movement speed doesn't quite match, and they fixed it somewhat in Doom Eternal by giving you all like the boosts and being able to bounce yourself out, like use double jumps. Like newer games have solved it through power ups, which is great. I love that. Like it makes you just feel a lot faster.
I have to play the newer games with the gun in the center of the screen. I have to. It doesn't feel like Doom for me unless I do.
I played it in normal, like just standard FPS variation where it's there.
When I went into, I was about halfway through the game when I found the option in options, and as soon as I said,
I can't go back. Like, there's no going back now. This is it.
It's literally just HD.
Yeah,
Doom now.
Yeah. I seen a thing where isn't it in Doom 2016? There's a couple of hidden levels that are just from the original. I'm pretty sure I've seen that.
Possibly, yeah. Like
I think I've seen that like, and it's really weird to see like the really high textured gun with the old sprites.
Oh
it's so weird to look at. Sorry if that's like a bit of a spoiler, but apparently they're really hidden. Yeah, apparently they're really hidden, like off the beaten path.
It's another one that I loved it so much, and like Doom, and I left it so long to play it. Like I hadn't. I think I played it in 2019, or maybe during lockdown.
Jesus.
Maybe 2020. And everyone had told me it's great. You're gonna love it. It's so much fun. Blah blah blah. And I was like, cool, I'll get around to it. And then when I started playing it, I was the
you were the guys. This is so fun.
Yeah, it's a flip on my whole story.
Yeah,
going to Final Fantasy 7. I was suddenly going, guys, this Doom game is so good. You should check it out. And they're like, oh god.
It's just like they're like, Paddy, we've been saying this for years.
Yep.
Oh man.
And it's funny because I didn't think I'd get back into FPS all that much because I'm not a huge fan of first person. It's weird because I love Resident Evil 7, but like in general, like, first person shooters, I'm not a huge fan of. I used to be really into the Far Cry games.
I can tolerate them for the most part.
Yeah.
But it does get very repetitive playing multiple of them in a row and going, these are all so similar. Especially if you switch between franchises as well. Even switching between franchises doesn't help. Because I played
go from COD to Battlefield or like
the only thing that I will say, the only game that I think changed it up enough from what I've played at least so far is Battlefield 1's War Stories.
Oh yeah,
because they put you they put you into different scenarios. The only one I've played is obviously the first one you get when you start the game with the guy from the Harlem Hellfighters.
Yeah.
And it's that, opening that they use as the kind of tutorial the second you start the game up. I played that, and then I can't remember what the mission's called, but the tank mission.
Yeah.
And oh my god, that mission made me feel like so... It was kind of like that way where you get so wrapped into it that I unironically started shouting at my screen as if I was in there with the tank. Like I was... like I was sat there shouting at my screen playing this mission like, come on Bessie, you can do it. Like, just come on. Like I'm sat there like, a little harder, girl, go. Like as if I'm sat there driving this tank for real. It really drew me in because I love history. I love history so much. Yeah. Just unfortunate that in school they only covered like the same 3 areas of it every year.
Yep.
So God, I've learned the same fact about World War One too many times. We
didn't even get that here. All we get was Irish history,
Mm.
Roman history.
We don't even get Scottish history all that much.
No way. That's
No,
great. Like,
I guess it depends on school, because some people do cover Mary Queen of Scots.
yeah.
My school just didn't. We
What?
covered all, like, either it's general British history,
History,
like
yeah, I
World
getcha.
War like World War One from Britain's perspective.
World War Two.
I think the other one, no, not even World War Two.
What?
So we covered World War One from Britain's perspective, which we'd learned about constantly and learned the same facts for years over and over. Since we were like 11, we'd learned the same facts. And then
You
the
can't
other one,
see it, but I'm dumbstruck right now.
yeah, yeah, he's sitting here with like his jaw just dropped when I said that. And then we talked about modernizing Britain, which is like the late 1800s, early 1900s. Sort of.
Oh yeah, I was alive during that. That's cool.
My man was here to see the suffragettes. He's seen them.
I like very quickly though. We cover Irish history. We cover World War II, and what you're saying about World War One. That's us with World War II.
Yeah.
Literally from like primary school all the way to like the end
Yes.
of secondary school. It's just all like
World
the
War
same,
II, same stuff. Yeah,
the
we
beach
get that with the
landing.
first.
Yeah, it's like an Normandy beach landing, the Operation Market Garden, like
Yeah.
just, the stuff in Africa. Like,
Yes.
we just covered that stuff, and it was just on loop.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, we get that for World War One. Then we do modernizing Britain, and then we did the Nazi rise to power,
yeah,
which is
all the stuff before World War II.
Yeah, it's not as interesting as you'd think, because it's essentially you're sitting learning about like post World War One, pre World War II German politics.
It's basically
which
the
is...
Phantom Menace.
You know, now that I think about it, I've never thought about it that way before. Oh my
That's
god.
what we're here for, new perspectives.
New perspectives. Guys, the Nazi rise to power is just like the Phantom Menace.
They're both terrible.
Oh, that's great. But yeah, essentially we covered like you know, like the German economy going down, plus Wall Street on top of that, the state of the German government at the time, and then why the Nazis were able to get to the position they did. And it's through like the promises they made, you know, everything like that. All that political stuff.
Not the war stuff.
Yeah, and then the second that Hitler finally, you know, becomes the Führer. Okay, that's the end of this topic. And that was our third and final topic. It's like, no, there's so much more to cover, please. And then and then the Cold War is just like, that doesn't exist, according to history teachers here in Scotland. That just didn't happen.
It's time for my controversial statement, but it's actually a fact. I swear, especially from the era that I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
In Ireland, when I was growing up, as I say, we learned about World War II, and we learned about the Roman Empire, and then we learned we were basically told from a young age. So basically, the Brits came in and colonized us, and they're all evil. That was basically our school. And then as I got older, I met British people, and I was like, I think this isn't accurate.
I think there was a little bit of bias going on here.
Yeah, exactly. I think schools looking at my daughter in school now. I don't think I think now it's like omitted almost, like from our history stuff. Which I'm like, why? It's part of our heritage.
I find that weird that they don't cover a lot of history stuff like that. Here's the part that confused me, right? In our school, you can learn French, Spanish, and Latin. They don't teach our own language. You know, like but they still use it up north. They still use Scottish Gaelic, and they don't teach it. Like
nobody here speaks Irish, right? Unless you go to Connemara, which is out in the west, or you go to like Kerry. There's like handfuls, little pockets of places that speak it. But everybody in this country, unless you move in from another country or something like that, is enforced
in school
to learn Irish. Like,
yes.
It is a mandatory subject.
Yes. So it's like English, maths.
English, maths, Irish. Now, Irish is no longer a mandatory pass subject for your leaving certificate.
Okay.
It used to be.
Yeah.
they got to the point, which it's great that they did that like 9 years after I did my leaving cert and failed Irish. But yeah, like
Oh
the weird
man.
thing is I hated Irish when I was in school. Because I was always like, this is such a dumb thing. I hate this. Why would we learn this?
Yeah.
Nobody used it.
And
now
now
that
you
I'm
want to
older,
learn it.
I'm like, God, I wish I knew. My sister's fluent. Like,
Yeah.
One of my best friends, he's from Galway, which is a much more Irish focused area, and he speaks a lot of Irish. And I'm just, now I'm like, God, I regret it. So like I'm learning bits and pieces back again. And
I've learned like little. I've only learned one word concretely, and it's welcome, which is falche.
Falche,
yeah, that's all I've learned.
I love that it's the same. We're Celtic cousins. I'm telling you,
exactly.
I love it. My favorite is right in school when we were growing up. There's one Irish phrase that I know and I will know until the day I die because and I'll say it and then I'll explain it. So the phrase is "An bhfuil cadagum dulgadi an leheras mashe de hole," right? And that means, "Can I go to the bathroom, please?" And the reason I know it is because in school, when you were a kid in primary school, you were not allowed to use the bathroom.
I think I know exactly what you're going to say.
Irish.
Yes. That's like when they teach you French. And over here, like when they teach you French or Spanish and you need to ask everything in that language, it's like, no, I don't want to.
But there's this great Irish commercial, I think it's for Guinness or something possibly, where it's a guy talking to this beautiful girl in the States or something, and she's like, speak to me in your native language, and he says, "An will Kiadagum Dulgadi." And she's like, what does that mean? He's like, it means you have the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen, or whatever.
That's like
every Irish person watched it's like, this is glorious.
Yeah, that's like if I went to any European countries, I'm always worried in case they're talking smack about me behind my back and I just don't understand it. Like some French guy, it's like, tell me I'm beautiful in French, and he goes and insults my entire family without me knowing.
I noticed that when I was in Japan in 2010. I was walking down like streets.
I'm so jealous.
I
want to go.
It's amazing. I urge everybody on the face of the planet to go. It's a life-changing
I want to go to Japan.
It's amazing. But when I was there, we were walking down the street. I think it's Kabukicho, which is like a dodgy area, but it's like it's the area that the Yakuza games, funnily enough, are based off of.
Ooh.
But that's why I wanted to go there. I heard it was modeled exactly off that area, so I was able to walk through there, going, "There's the batting cage. There's this."
Yeah, like I know where all this stuff is.
Yeah, like
I've been here virtually.
But I was like walking down the street, and I see like these kind of Yakuza looking dudes like looking at me, and I'd hear them saying, I would hear the word gaijin, and I knew that it was like foreigner. It was like a slang term for foreigner. And I was like, oh, this is...
oh, no. Oh,
and you can always tell the Yakuza guys in Kabukicho, because they've literally got, like, they're hiding in plain sight. They're wearing snakeskin pants. They're wearing snakeskin boots. They're wearing shirts that are open to, like, their navel. And they've got, like, medallions and stuff. And you're like, inconspicuous, bro.
Inconspicuous. But again, it would be that kind of thing where it would be so ridiculous that no one actually thinks that that's the Yakuza. Exactly. It's like, surely, like, you'd think to yourself, surely a gang would take themselves a little bit more seriously. Surely they wouldn't dress in all snakeskin. They'd be dressed in all black.
And apparently, again, it is the thing with the Yakuza that the lower down you are, you dress in that kind of ridiculous manner. And if you're like an established Yakuza, you'll be wearing like a 3-piece.
Yeah, like the proper,
Yeah, like, you know.
Yeah, you basically look like every mob boss from every state and every movie ever.
Dude, I cannot wait. Lockdown's over. Go to Japan. It is like,
it's one of my dream places. Like, it's on my bucket list to go to Japan.
I spent 2 weeks there. It was all in Tokyo. I wished I had been able to go outside of Tokyo, but I didn't on that trip. But I was there for Tokyo Game Show in 2010, which was amazing.
Wow.
We got to see the new Devil May Cry get revealed at the time, and everybody went crazy because they were so angry about it.
Was that
Ninja Theory?
I was gonna say, was that like the new Devil May Cry? Was that the one where they completely redid it all?
That was
when it was
Dante, yeah.
That's one series I need to go do as well, because I've played a slight bit of the first one because I had it on PS2. I played a little bit of it, but I wasn't really paying that much attention, I'll be honest, because I was just kind of sat there with my dad casually playing.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really paying attention to anything like I would if I was to play it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like to record it, stream it, whatever. Even if I didn't, I'd probably just pay more attention if I was on my own.
The great thing is, because you don't have any experience, you could play that Ninja Theory game and have a totally separate outside interpretation of it.
I can look at the design and just go, it's very 2000s. Yes, that's the way that I see it. It's like it's very much of that time where everything was dark, edgy, and gritty, and everyone would stand at the edge of a building and look down at the city they protect.
Yes.
Literally, like Superman did it in Superman Returns. They did it for The Dark Knight. Every single superhero movie at the time did it. Even action movies bloody did it.
True. Like Gamer. Do you remember that one with Jared Butler? I think wasn't it? He was just standing on the edge of a building. I
don't remember that. Yeah, but everyone stands on the edge of the building and looks down, brooding, while thinking about the city they protect and how they stand on the edge of the building thinking, like Bruce Wayne stands on the edge of the building and goes, God, how difficult my life is. I'm a billionaire who lives in a mansion, who can afford a high-tech battle suit and all of these fancy gadgets, and I have a butler who waits on me hand and foot. Life is pain.
Bruce, did you ever think about putting all that money into therapy instead of,
Did you ever think that maybe your butler wasn't the best therapist? I mean, you think with all that money, he'd go, I could invest in like a decent psychiatrist.
Or like, I'll invest in Gotham, like I'll try and refurbish it so the crime isn't as much of a problem through like, look, no, I'll beat the shit out of criminals every night.
Just instead of putting all this money that I have into fixing broken areas where all of this crime comes from, I'm just gonna send them all to the hospital.
Just gonna break those criminals instead.
It's obviously not poverty's fault. Meanwhile,
I want to say
it's obviously poverty's fault where like caves their skulls in.
I want to say before we finish up this, actually, I want to say that like I was recently playing the Arkham games and the Spider-Man games, and there was moments in those games where it's called narrative dissonance, right? Where the story doesn't line up with what's happening. Where I'm Spider-Man and I'm on a building and I do a big move and I knock 3 guys off the building, and this is one of the third tallest buildings in the game, and I'm going, those guys are dead. I just knocked them off the building. They're falling 160 floors. Like, they're dead. Yeah. They're paced.
I seen a video that studied like the science of in the Arkham games, the silent takedown.
Yes.
I think everyone knows the silent takedown from those games. It's possibly the most famous move where you hang upside down, you grab the guys and you string them upside down.
Yeah.
I watched a video about that, and
They'd
not necessarily die, but at the speed that Batman drops them and how tight the rope is when they stop, they're at least going away with shattered ankles, if not completely disconnected legs. Their ankles are either shattered or their entire legs are dislocated from the rest of their body. And then that's not even taking into account of blood rush, because they're hanging upside down. So Batman is essentially giving these guys serious physical and mental trauma. And then of course his little cowl, it doesn't say deceased, it just says incapacitated. that guy is just going for a little nap. I think the best example from the Arkham games is in Arkham City. There's criminals who use car doors as riot shields. One of the takedowns is Batman flips over, grabs that door, and slams it into the guy's neck.
Yes.
And it just says, he's going for a little nap. Yeah, it just says, he's not dead. He's just having a nap.
Me and one of my best mates that I grew up with, Niall, like we played those games together when they first came out.
Yeah.
And I remember Niall used to always be like, okay, if these guys aren't dead, they are permanently messed up for life.
Yeah.
Like
I think he codes that cowl to not say deceased. I think he's coded it. I think he's coded it that way, just so that he can keep that moral conscience of I don't kill. It's like so even if their heartbeat is just non-existent, it still just says incapacitated.
We're like, hey, being dead is a form of incapacitation. We're not lying. That's how Batman justifies it.
Yeah, that's how he justifies it. He's like, I'm not lying. It's just bending the truth to fit my narrative.
Oh,
Oh god,
this glorious.
this has been amazing. This has probably been one of the best episodes I've done.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah,
I've had a blast.
it's certainly been the one that I've laughed the most consistently.
Yes!
Consistently
Laughter is awesome.
laughing the most.
I got told by one of the comments on my YouTube recently. One of the only negative comments I've received on my YouTube. It's not even negative, but just kind of weird. I was like, what is that about?
Mm-hmm.
The guy said, it was on one of my interviews, and he said, dude, you got to quit it with the nervous laughter. And I was like,
it's like, no, I'm just laughing.
This is me, buddy. If you met me in real life, this is exactly what I'm like.
Just quit with the nervous laughter. How do you think I feel in this moment?
Yeah, basically he's saying, hey man, stop finding things funny.
You know, the one that I look to, you know, because I'm around in Casey's community and stuff, and I look around and I go, you guys are all doing great things, and and obviously I tuned into your stream. I go to your channel, and the first thing I see is all of these interviews with people that I'm like, these would be like, I seen the one with Nick Apostolidis, and I'm like, that would be one of my dream guests to have on a podcast. This guy is doing extremely well for himself.
Yes.
And I literally, because I looked at your sub count, and I am a slightly judgmental arsehole in that way. I think everyone does it. Because I thought, 600, it's bigger than me, but it's still relatively small. Yeah. So I just went, I'll see what's here. And then I see all these people from the games industry, and I'm like, no. How? I'm like, how did you get these contacts? And could you please pass them on?
I will say that is one of the most commonly asked questions in my comment sections.
I can imagine it is.
As a small YouTuber, how are you getting all these big interviews? Yeah. And I'm going to give you the secret here. Right? This is crazy. You're not going to believe this.
Oh my god, this is like a magician revealing his tricks.
It's crazy. I asked them. I'm not even joking. Man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even joking. It's legit. Like most of those folks like that I've had on are so excited to talk about the things they've done. And actually a lot of them don't get the opportunities. That's the thing about voice acting.
Yeah, they're not often recognized because you don't see their face.
Yeah. I mean, I never thought I would get Carlos Ferro, who played Dom in Gears of War, one of my favorite franchises, favorite characters in that franchise. I thought that guy is unattainable. And then, like, it was like, I'd love to get you on. And he's like, oh man, I love talking about being Dom in Gears of War.
Yeah.
You know, like, I will say that, like, it did help that I come from a background in the industry. And I think when people see that, there is a little bit of a, like, oh, okay, this guy knows some stuff, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know. If they only knew.
I think the one person who would be, like, the top of my list to get on would be Nicole Tompkins, because I love Jill Valentine.
I've been working on it for a year. I've been working on it, trying to get her for a year, man. She's my top tier as well.
She'd be like the one, because I love Jill, and especially because 3 Remake first game, so that was my introduction.
And Jeff Shine. I'd love to get Jeff Shine on as well, because I'm actually going cosplaying Carlos.
Oh my god.
Because I love Jeff Shine's Carlos so much.
Yeah.
I love Neil Newban as Nikolai.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh my god, all of the people in that game, mad props.
You print money. I like money.
You print money. I like money. Just so many good lines. It's like it's like the train sequence.
Yes.
Nikolai. It's not after
He's not
me.
after me.
So many great lines. Honestly, I have mad respect for like voice actors and stuff, and I know because I've tried it myself as well. I've been in a couple projects so far. None of them are released yet publicly, but they're all being worked on behind the scenes.
That's so awesome, though.
Yeah, one of them that I did, the first one I ever did was I'm a massive fan of Doctor Who. Oh, love that show to bits. And I got the chance to be in an audio drama as the 7th Doctor, and I went, I will take that, thank you. And they, like, I put my submission in and went, I might get it. Who knows? Maybe my voice isn't quite accurate enough. And they gave me it. And now now that same person has asked me to come back for it again for another story, and I'm like, yes, thank you.
That is
And then
so
I'm also
cool.
currently working on a documentary as well
Very
for
cool.
someone in America. It's like a war style documentary.
Oh, that is
I don't know how
amazing.
much I can actually say
Yeah,
about
of
it,
course.
but it's narrated like a war documentary, and that was one of the things that drew me to it.
Dude, one thing I would say to you, because you're such a big fan of history and stuff, is
Yes.
there is a podcast called Scottish History Podcast that you should check out.
Oh my god,
It's
I need
really
to see
good.
this. I need to see
It's
this.
really good. And I listen to it regularly. It's just, again, it's the stories, it's the narration, and they get different narrators on, so you never know. Maybe reach out via Twitter or something.
Who knows?
Like, yeah. It's really good. They tell, like, what I loved was during Halloween they did like Scottish horror stories.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
That sounds amazing.
But yeah, like, dude, congratulations on
Thank you very much.
on what you're doing. That's amazing.
Thank you very much. But I think in the interest of time, and because I have a couple things to do, I feel like we could keep talking for hours. But in the interest of keeping this podcast to a reasonable length, I think I'll end it there. Paddy, thank you so much for coming on.
Roscoe, thank you for having me, and thank you so much for putting up with me for as long as you did.
I have all the time in the world for you, my friend. I would love to have you back on just for a general discussion like I did with Casey.
Anytime at all.
Certainly, I will have you back on. And I'd also like to thank all of you for watching, or listening rather, I guess. But if you did, remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Please, please, please go subscribe to Paddy and follow him on Twitch. Please.
Also, subscribe to Roscoe, or else we're not friends in real life anymore. If you're watching this and we're friends in real life and you don't subscribe to Roscoe, we're not friends. Yeah. Don't bother calling me.
But I implore you to go follow this man and watch all of his stuff, because I have so much time for this lad. He's a legend. Thank you so much for coming on.
Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification icon. Do it now.
So please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, join the Discord down below, and follow my Instagram, because I love a good shameless plug me. Only if you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you next time. Goodbye.